Good evening once again, and welcome back to the Agents of Helm weekly update. On tonight's show, we'll dive into the latest episode of The Walking Dead, episode 13, entitled Forget. I'm Malik, and I'll introduce you to my co agents for tonight's review, Joe
What's up, people?
and Johanna.
Hi.
And Lorenzo is likely off somewhere getting chased down by zombies or crazy women or whatever, whatever tickles his fancy for the evening. So we will be without him for another week. Hopefully, he'll be back with us next week.
It's three the hard way this week, Malik. Three the hard way.
It's the best three. I mean, it's the best three. McKenna doesn't join the weeklies. Eventually she will, but she doesn't right now. So right now it's the best three. Um, so last night's episode was entitled "Forget," and so to kind of kick us off and give us a quick recap of about the episode, Joe, I'll send it over to you.
All right, sure. Well, there was a few things going on in this episode. And Johanna is going to talk about Daryl. So let's start with Carol. Before we go on, Malik, you didn't mention what you were going to talk about. I'll cut all this out, but
I'm going to basically mention that there's an oxymoron in the title.
Okay.
Of Forget.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, cool. All right, so in last night's episode, we get to look more in on Carol and how she's kind of, sort of acclimating herself to the community, Alexandria. She hatches a plan with Rick and Daryl to possibly take over if need be. So the last episode we left off, Rick was like, "Hey, if these people can't make it, we'll just take it. We'll take the community." And Carol takes it a step further in last night's episode by, getting the group together, getting the three main people, which is herself, Rick, and Daryl together, discussing plans on what they should do, if they decide to take it over, or basically arming themselves. They want to make sure they have the firepower if, in fact, they do need to take over the community. So Carol hatches a plan where she's going to break into the the quote-unquote armory, which is really guarded by I forgot the woman's name, Olivia. I guess it's Olivia, right? Yeah, because Olivia, the armory is the pantry / armory. So Carol wants to hatch a plan.
She manages the food and the guns, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can I get my chocolate with a side of a 9mm?
Exactly. That's the job bottle.
She's like, "Here, let me while I'm putting these guns away, the chocolate's in the freezer right there." Because Carol goes in under the guise that she's gonna bake some chocolate chip cookies for the party that the Diana is throwing for our survivors. But anyway, Carol gets in there. She hatches a plan where she's going to leave the window open. So she just unlatches the window so she can sneak in later during this party, the soiree that Diana's throwing for our survivors. So Carol later, as Carol goes into she sneaks in later on during the party, and she's followed by a kid who's a big fan of her chocolate chip cookies. Follows her in hopes of getting more cookies, but what the little boy finds out is that Carol is actually stealing guns from the pantry, or pantry / armory, and Carol I feel so bad for this kid when she's like, "Hey, I need you to keep a secret." He's like, "I don't keep secrets from my mommy. I gotta tell her." Carol's like, "All right." She treated him just like an adult. She's like, "Hey, if you don't keep it a secret, you're gonna wake up tied to a tree very, very far from here. And if you scream, the walkers are gonna come and get you." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll keep the secret." And she's gonna give him some extra chocolate chip cookies. So I think the kid wins there.
Just like a complete reversal, 180 from what she's wearing and how she's been acting the entire time on this.
Yeah, she's probably the most dangerous person there now because nobody knows what this woman is capable of now. They have no clue. She pretty much lied to the on videotape in the previous episode when Diana taped their conversation. and now she's going around pretending to be this Susie Homemaker, and that's what she used to be. So it's very easy for her to slide back into that disguise. But what she is now is like she's a stone cold killer now, and
Yep.
she's going to do anything she has to make sure that their group survives this. Um, which
And
leads, huh? Go
I
ahead. Go
love.
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, no, go ahead,
I
Johanna.
love I love the deep cover, and like she mentioned something about like she likes the being invisible
Yeah,
like now, but I think she likes it now for a totally different reason, which is that she's being all stealth, and that's probably more maybe not more badass, but just as badass as being like Rambo out in the open, like taking out Terminus.
yeah,
So I
because
think
she.
she's really
No, I was gonna say this gives her the upper hand because they have no idea
yeah.
that she can what she's capable of, and she could just like turn around and slit their throats if she had to. Um, and I'll talk about the second person in the group, which is Rick. And Rick, I'm getting a little laugh at because I'm gonna call this episode Rick: The Quest for New Ass, because that is what he is looking for in this episode. That is what you want to talk about the title Forget. Uh, Rick has forgotten what it's like to be touched by a woman. So Rick is going full like gangster, wants to take Jesse away from her husband. I mean, the fact that he had the gun, he even thought about shooting this guy for no reason at all, except for the fact that he wants his wife. I mean, she kissed him on the cheek, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know what's going on down there," but he was very excited. He looked excited.
He probably couldn't recognize what was going on down there.
Yeah, and she actually looks like she's like kind of wants him also. Like she's into it. She complains about her husband to him, which is the big tall tale sign, right? Complains to Rick about her husband. She just met Rick. Why does he need to know all this crap? But she does it anyway, and Rick is like eating it up, and he wants Jesse. There's no doubt about it. He wants that for himself. And I don't know if you guys saw the previews for next week. They showed it on The Talking Dead, where Rick and oh god, what's Jesse's husband's name? The doctor, I forget his name, but they don't have like a run-in, but like the husband comes over and he's like talking to Rick, and he's like, "Hey man, we got to work together. I like you. I think we can get along and be friends or whatever." And Rick is just like looking at him, yeah, whatever, man, whatever. And the guy's drunk, and he's a doctor. He's like, "Bring your kids over. I ain't even checked out." And you tell Rick, I gotta check you out. He eject. It's but yes, definitely. It was. I'm looking forward to how. Yeah, that guy's dead. I mean, there's no. It's not if, it's when, and when that guy's gonna die. Either by Rick's hand or it's gonna by a zombie. It's gonna be by somebody where this guy is gonna die, and Rick will eventually be with Jesse. And look, they both have the boys that are about the same age, so it looks like a good family unit already. It's an instant family.
She's so boring. She's so boring.
Rick is gonna take what he can get right now.
Oh,
Jesse's not boring. See, we
so
don't know.
boring.
We don't know anything about her yet. All we know right now
And then she cuts hair.
is that she cuts hair. Because think about it. Here's the thing, Johanna. All of these people are leading a relatively boring existence behind these walls because there's really not much to do. You live behind these walls. You kind of do whatever your role is, or whatever role you've been given, or whatever you're comfortable doing, and then you want to exist as you kind of just play the game. And that's kind of what I get from not just the characters from the A-Team that have kind of found themselves in this environment, but I think I get it from everybody else too. It's like none of them are who they appear to be, but they're all kind of playing the game. They're all kind of being who the Alexandria needs them to be in order to stick around. So she could very well be a different type of chick, and we just don't know because she's playing the game, and she's been there long enough, right? So there's no.
Yeah,
She may have her wild side. We never know.
yeah, Rick is hoping she's a little freaky deaky, I'm sure.
Okay, see, here's my thing. I don't mean to derail.
No.
I've always wanted Rick and Michonne to get together. I feel like that would be a great pair. She was already kind of a mom figure to Carl. I feel like it could really happen. She's like a strong woman, and I could feel something between them. And I've always wanted it to happen. I know it's probably
two badasses together. Two badasses together. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna work.
Two alpha characters.
Yeah. It's gonna be a volatile relationship.
Hey, we need some fireworks. That would be freaky.
I ain't dating Michonne.
You're not dating.
I see what happens I see what she does with her boyfriends when they die.
She drags them around, uses them as protection.
Yeah.
So don't be bad. Don't be bad. That's all.
No.
And you know what? But going back to like the little circle of trust over there between Daryl, Carol, and Rick, I was a little surprised that Michonne wasn't in on that. I mean, I know this. I'm sure there's a reason why. I think because Michonne wants to really try to work it out here. And she had her little ceremony where she hung up the sword, like this is, it's not goodbye, but I'm not gonna need you now.
That's hers kind of, and I like the fact that they did that because that was a really powerful part in the comic as well. When she hangs up the sword, it's on the mantle. It's kind of her accepting whatever it is that she, really, really jumping into whatever the situation is and accepting it for what it is, and saying, "I'm going to go at this with all of the energy that all the energy that I possibly can." And that kind of leads me to the question I have for you, Joe. Were there any themes in this episode that you actually see tying into the title of Forget? Because I think that the title itself is a very poignant title for what these guys are going through at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I was joking a little bit when I said about Rick forgetting the touch of a woman, but he has forgotten. He doesn't know what it's like to have. He's forgotten what it's like to have a woman in his life. A woman like that. Sasha's forgotten what it's like to be around people. She's a little different because she's just lost her boyfriend and her brother, like seems like back to back. So she's dealing with a lot, but it seems like she's suffering from some PTSD, of course, and I think she's also just forgotten what it's like to not have to live the way they're currently living. Like she can't get back to what it was like before this all happened. And Carol, I'm trying to see where it connects with Carol, because she's playing both sides of the line, where she's acting like Susie Homemaker and yet she's totally not. So she doesn't seem like she's forgetting anything. She's trying to stay on point.
Yeah, she seems to be one of the ones that's not forgetting, of everybody.
But like we just touched on with Michonne, it's like I think Michonne's trying to forget what happened, and she's trying to get back into normal living. But these guys with the constables, Rick and Michonne, I think they should have guns. Trying to get back to normal life, they're being cops. Give them some guns.
That's true. And tying into the whole forget the forget theory and the forget themes is an interesting story about one of our main characters and what he is going through. Johanna, tell us a little bit about what's going on with Daryl.
So I was personally really happy to see a Daryl, like a very Daryl-centric storyline, almost like his own shoot-off of like a B plot to the A plot. So basically, as we've seen over the last 2 episodes, since the A-Team has been in the community, Daryl has refused to bathe. He's refused to put on civilian duds. He's still in his his ratty, like, sleeveless, like, t-shirt and his leather vest, and his hair is matted to his head. And then, in this episode, he goes out to hunt, and Aaron somehow meets him on the way. They start talking about rabbits, and then Aaron takes him to see the horse he's always wanted to ride, Buttons. So already from that sentence, you know that something terrible is going to happen to Buttons. Nothing cute can live on this show. So Daryl, for some reason, decides to help Aaron try to get this horse. I think part of it is the challenge. It's something that he's done before. So he starts talking to the horse, and he says, oh, you used to belong to somebody, didn't you? And now you're by yourself. And before he can get the horse, and, he's telling the horse they're going to help him, but before they can get the horse, these walkers show up. So, like, Aaron's kind of good at this whole walker thing, surprisingly enough. Like, he was kicking ass there. He was holding his own. I kind of got some respect for him. I could see him as a potential candidate for the A-team. I would not feel uncomfortable with that. He would definitely rank higher than the priest. That's for sure. So they become this little team. They decide to continue to look for Buttons. They're killing these walkers left and right, and they finally find the horse, and the horse is being taken down by walkers. And I don't know who it is that said, like, Aaron says that that's impossible. He's been avoiding them the whole time. And Daryl says, you were just trying to help. So my impression of that was that the horse was kind of hanging around them because he knew they were going to help him, and he wanted to go with them since he used to be a tame horse and had become semi-wild and hadn't really lost that tameness. That the horse forgot to be cautious, and that's why it was taken down by the zombies. Aaron and Daryl decide to take down those zombies anyway, just as revenge for Buttons. So, there's definitely this whole idea when we come back to the community. Daryl is lured into Aaron and Eric's house for some spaghetti. He's eating it like an animal. Eric's laughing at him, which I did not appreciate, but that's okay. And he's drinking like out of a glass of wine, and I didn't know why it was so funny, because he's just kind of slurping things down and washing down with the wine. And Aaron shows him this room in the back of the house, and the room has like a motorcycle that's about to be constructed that's like in the middle of being built, and all these different parts. And Aaron tells him, basically asks him, or even not asks so much as tells, that he's going to be the recruiter. He's going to be the new recruiter with Aaron, that they're going to tag team, and that's why Daryl needs a motorcycle, because Daryl can tell the good people from the bad people, and that Aaron needs that because he doesn't know that. So Daryl, and it's interesting, the horse is also black. Daryl's wearing all black. He goes back to the A-team, or rather the Circle of Trust, as we're calling it now. And they're like, look at our guns, look at our shiny guns. We're going to hide our guns. And he's like, you know what? I don't know, you guys. Like, maybe we got a good thing going here. Like, we should just stay. Like, I think, maybe. So I feel like there's foreshadowing in that, because he's being offered help. So he's letting his guard down. And my impression is based off of what happens to the horse, and maybe I'm reading this the wrong way around, but this is the way I see it, that he can be overtaken because he is kind of letting his guard down. And when I watched that scene with my husband, where Aaron invites him inside, like, he said, oh, that was his game all along. Like, he's doing this to lure him in as the only way that the community can try to bring him in. And I think that's totally and completely possible. I don't think we don't have a complete handle on just how manipulative Aaron can be. Like, I don't get a sense of where the line is in him between being manipulative and being honestly concerned about people, like concerned about Daryl.
So, in your opinion, Johanna, do you think that there is, that at the very least, I mean, I know you mentioned last week when we were talking about last week's episode that you believe that Diana, is that her name? Deanna has of course a hidden agenda with regards to both what she wants to do with this group and her ideas for Alexandria. Do you kind of believe that everyone pretty much in Alexandria is bought into Deanna's plan as to what she has going on, or what's your take on the rest of the community?
I feel like if there's anyone who's not, like, this is the whole thing with Aaron and why he's suddenly become a very interesting character to me, because he could very well be like the least bought-in character and just be really manipulative, or he could be the most bought-in character and the least manipulative. Like, jolly gee whiz, Daryl, this really is a good place to live, and here's all the motorcycle stuff, and we can really do something good. Or else, let's lure this guy in because we need something from him.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me might imply that he's not bought into the community completely. Like, I can totally see him turning and like joining the A-Team and fucking up some shit after seeing him fight the way he fights.
Right.
In terms of the others, like, I don't know, like some of the interactions are weird, like the dude interactions with some of the women. Like, I guess it's supposed to be a love interest thing. Like, Spencer, like, with Sasha was all like, hey, I suddenly have jungle fever. Hey. Like, the Spencer guy, I'm just like, I don't know where you came from. And then the other older dude with Carol, like, I don't know what the deal is with all of that. I feel like they're setting up Jessie to not be bought in to some extent, or, like, to be turned, or maybe she's a honey trap. She could be a honey trap, too. But I definitely think there's, in that party scene where they're talking about the stamps, it just felt very disturbing. Like, there's something going on here that, like, we're not seeing that is really disturbing. Mm-hmm. And once we find out, it's going to just creep us like, I just had creepy feelings over that scene. And the scene with the walker with the W, like, it all seems to be connected. The watchtower, I mean, it's just really... Like, there's definitely something going on. I hope we're going to find out soon. How many episodes are there left?
There's 3 episodes left.
All right, so hopefully we find out soon. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of the barn with Eli. That's not his name. Ephraim, the old guy without
Herschel?
the leg. Herschel. Yeah, there you go.
No, Ephraim was close.
Right? I mean, come on, like, totally. So Herschel, and just the barn, like, just this hidden kind of unseemly thing, except definitely more deliberate, because Deanna creeps me the fuck out. You cannot trust politicians. You can never, ever trust politicians. They will tread on you, and then they'll just spit on you, and they'll turn around, and they won't even, nothing. Don't trust them.
Right. Yeah, and I think to your point, and to your initial point about Daryl and the horse, and then pretty much to every point that you've been making thus far, I think that there's a real the title itself provides a real oxymoron to the way that we've seen these characters over the last 4.5 seasons of this show basically survive by not forgetting that humanity has been lost, and that there is no there's no sanctuary, and there's no looking for some kind of sense of normalcy. That every time you try to do that, and every time you let your guard down, you're hit even harder than you were before. And that every single time, be it at Herschel's farm, when they, allowed themselves to kind of exist and kind of, get into this normal routine on Herschel's farm, or be it at the prison, when they finally get to the prison and they think to themselves, oh, well, we're safe behind these gates, and we've cleared out this wing of the prison so we can live here. That every single time they start to think that things are okay is when they get completely blindsided and it's completely worse. And so, the whole premise of the title of Forget is like, it's like lulling you to a false sense of security or lulling you to sleep. It's like it's giving you all of these things. It's having these parties and doing all of these things that allow you to kind of forget the situation that you're in and kind of forget where you are. And that's why, to me, one of the most powerful scenes in the episode is the scene when Sasha is at the party, and there's that woman that's coming to her and asking her about like her favorite meal, and is like, oh well, I want to make it for you. I make everybody's their favorite meal, and I don't want to mess yours up, and I'm really worried about that, And to Sasha's point, she screams like, this is what you're worried about, and she doesn't delve into it any further. She just kind of says it, and then that's it. But I think it's really, really powerful, for this group in the sense that, you guys have to remember, where you just came from, and it's not like you've been in this new situation for very long. You just came out of the worst possible situation that you'd ever been in, where, you guys were really close to starvation. You were really close to turning on one another, and eventually, you were really close to just nothing. And to go from that to where you are now, yes, it's a drastic change. It's a drastic difference, but it doesn't mean that you can't go right back to that situation very, very soon. And so, I like the fact that in the beginning of the episode, it seems like Daryl and Carol and Rick are all kind of in that mindset. But as you guys just alluded to, individually, with the exception of Carol, individually they were both broken down. Rick with this woman and Daryl with Aaron and his partner, where their focus is now placed on something completely different than their own salvation and the salvation of the group with them. So I think that this is a very, very interesting title to this episode, because just like previous episodes where they've gone to these places where they think that they're safe, this episode is probably the safest that they've ever felt. I also think it's a very, very, very poignant piece of the episode is at the very end when Rick, hears the walker on the other side of the wall, and he walks up to the wall and he puts his hand against the, that metal wall, and he can feel and he can hear the walker on the other side. And it's kind of, again, that false sense of security for him because that walker can't get in. And so, an old Rick probably would have been had been trained on that spot or been looking for an opening, but it's given him an opportunity to kind of stop and kind of live in this existence. And I think it's scary. I think it's scary for all of them, because if we watch the show or we've read the comic enough, if and when they wind up getting into this situation where the proverbial shit hits the fan, it's going to be worse every single time. And I feel for them because they're not ready for it. They're not paying attention, or at least not all of them are. Sasha, I'm on board with her though.
I like that that intro scene was badass, where she's using the family pictures as target practice. And I forget, what did she say? Come and get me, or I'm here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, just come and get me or something like that. I also think it's very interesting that Deanna has seeming to take a really, really big interest in Sasha.
Yeah.
As well. And I'm not sure where that comes from or why that is.
Well, I think it's because her along with Daryl are the ones that don't seem to be, acclimating to the community. I mean, everybody else is trying and while Sasha, for the most part, is not even trying. Seems like she doesn't want to be there. Right.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, and I'm still a little bit. I think we get some insight on them later on, but we got a little glimpse of Abraham and Rosita and what's going on with them and stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
I like the fact that it's there. I want more of it. Give me some more. Give me some more of those people. And Eugene too. What are they doing? What are they up to?
Abraham looked like he had a good time.
Yeah, Abraham was soused, and Rosita looked different.
Yeah,
I don't
because she
know
wasn't
what-
wearing a baseball cap and she wasn't wearing those shorts.
I don't
She was
know.
in a dress.
She definitely like looked. Well, a lot of them look just stripped. You know, like just they don't have anything kind of to protect them. I guess is how they're supposed to look. I want to learn more about like how Glenn and Maggie are like these. They're suddenly turned into these weird culty people. Like they're like we're okay, we're family now. Like I
Well,
don't
it's
know.
more Maggie than Glenn.
But Glenn is like all cleaned up too, and I don't know what's going on there. I don't think we got a sense of that evolution, but I would like to know why and how.
Yeah, I think it's coming, but like Maggie's like working for Deanna, and she's like, yeah, she's like agreeing with everything she says at the table.
It's so weird.
You know, they think she's starving too for that, starving for some normalcy.
Yeah.
You know, and
And I think actually, now that I think about it, she might be one of the people in that group that have had like the longest stretch of normalcy before like everything got fucked up. Do you know what I mean? Because she was on the farm with
Right.
Herschel.
Right.
And
yeah, but
things
that
were
farm
very,
wasn't
like-
protected.
Yeah, but they were able to keep walkers away for a while, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they were gathering them in the barn.
Either way, like she doesn't know what it's out of most of them. I don't think she knows like what it's like to have been fighting since the beginning. So I wonder if she's just striving to get back into that normal zone, even if it means there are zombies in the barn. Metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Of course.
We haven't seen any barns yet, and
It's coming.
and I don't believe that this group has any this group of people in Alexandria would know anything about what to do with a group of zombies.
Yeah, I think
Hey.
Deanna's got some fish tanks full of zombie heads down in the basement.
Hey, but that chick can make a mean prosciutto, you guys.
Yeah.
She's ready. If you find a boar, she's ready to make some prosciutto over there. And pickles.
Don't forget the pasta maker.
The pasta maker.
You gotta get the pasta maker.
Well, that's it for tonight's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't you forget to send us an email, agentsofhelm@gmail.com. Go on iTunes if you like the show. Go on iTunes and give us a comment. Hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. It's all Agents of Helm. You can find us wherever you need to. Please stay tuned. We will have another episode for you guys soon, and we'll be posting some of our most recent podcasts very shortly as well. Both the Afterlife and the Resurrections podcast will be coming up very soon, hosted by myself and Johanna, respectively. And we have another show we'll be recording within the next few days. So, we're going to keep churning them out. You guys keep listening. We hope you guys stick around and help us take this podcast to the top. We can't do it without you. So for Johanna and Joe, I am Malik, and I'll also shout out Lorenzo and McKenna. We are the Agents of Helm. Have a great night. Peace out.